Here's that perfect market everyone's looking for. It's a small niche, but there's enough activity to build a sustainable business and still no big competitors. It seems like most SaaS founders are looking for this market, and with good reason. A lot of great businesses start exactly here. Yet, there's a kind of market that we're not talking about very often. Let's have a look. Welcome to my channel, I'm Simon Harberg. If you're new here and you're interested in tech, SaaS and online business, then you came to the right place. In this video, we'll go through a few examples of market structures and see which ones are particularly well suited for a SaaS, especially a small micro SaaS. We know we should be looking for a niche. Niche markets are super beneficial. The most attractive reason is that you have a greater chance at establishing market dominance without big competitors. It's simply easier to get attention and have your brand noticed. But there's a big pitfall. If the niche is too small, your business may not be sustainable. This is why you need to find the perfect niche market. It's a niche market that's big enough that you can build a business around solving a problem. It contains many small individual communities and tribes, and it may also contain solutions, yet there's no big established competitors. This is the perfect market opportunity everyone's talking about, and it's the one SaaS founders seems to be obsessed with, and it's probably for a good reason. Then there's the crowded market. It's a market that's dominated by a handful of huge competitors, typically old products that's been sitting heavily on this market for years. It's not expanding, so demand isn't really increasing, and if this market also has a recent history of mergers and acquisition, it's definitely a warning sign that it's a market you don't really want to enter. There's just not going to be room for you. Finally, there's the market opportunity no one is really talking about, and it's a shame, because this market is great, especially for small micro SaaS. It's the market that's huge and rapidly expanding in size. Even though there are big competitors in this market, and typically a lot of them, the market itself is just so huge that acquiring just a tiny part of users and consumers is more than enough to run a sustainable business. When there's a lot of people and a lot of option, there's also room for a lot of preference. And when people have the choice to pick, they'll pick the one that fits exactly their preference. And if you're building in a market that's big enough, there's gonna be a small number of users who prefer it exactly the way you build it. And that may be more than enough to build a sustainable business around it, especially if you're doing a bootstrapped micro SaaS. In fact, when we zoom in, these tiny parts of enormous markets may be equal in size and opportunity to that perfect niche market we saw just before, but may be expanding more rapidly due to high demand. We don't hear people mention this opportunity very often. In fact, the opposite is often the case. People think that because they're big competitors, it's game over, too late to enter. But in fact, it couldn't be further from the truth. There are so many benefits to building in big established markets that for small SaaS founder and indie makers, it's the preferred one. So, bottom line, if you're thinking about doing a SaaS product but you don't quite feel like doing the whole VC, Silicon Valley style unicorn startup, don't let that hold you back. You can still enter an established market and you can still build a successful SaaS. I did this myself. I bootstrapped a social media management tool in a very well-established market with huge competitors. Yet, here I am, 15 months later, doing almost 20,000 MRR. And sure, some might call that unambitious. For me, I'm perfectly happy with it. I got no VCs breathing down my neck. I have time for other things like doing this YouTube channel, and I still got plenty to pay my bills. In fact, before I launched FeedHype, I did try with a super niche product, and it did not go well at all. And I give you the full story in this video where I also explain how to spot a brilliant SaaS idea and, more importantly, how to spot one that's not. So go check that one out now, and I will see you soon for another video.